Hi, and welcome to another edition of Mama's Gone Wild. I'm Nikki Woods and my co-host or partner in crime, Mary Boyce. And today, our Mama's Gone Wild topic, supporting our men.
Supporting our
And
men.
we're talking
Yay.
financially,
Oh.
emotionally, and sometimes sexually. I'm not sure what that means, but we'll get into it.
Sometimes financially, always sexually.
Oh, always. Okay. That's why she's still married. No. So let's talk about it. We have today with us Cheryl Thompson, who is married with 2 boys, and Kimberly Mahoney, who is newlywed and new mom, still hopeful. So let's talk about, because a lot of times, especially with the economy, we have this discussion because sometimes roles change. And I don't know what kind of household you all grew up in, but I came from a very traditional home where my father was the breadwinner. He was the leader of the house. My mother stayed home with the children. And it still pretty much works that way in their house. But, as you get out on your own and, life has changed and it's not always possible to have a stay-at-home mom and a husband that goes to work and that sort of thing. So tell us a little bit about how your homes are structured. How I know that you're a Mary Kay representative. So that is a job in itself, but tell us about how your house is set up.
Well, I am a work from home mom, and I emphasize work from home because I am not a stay-at-home mom. I'm not going to have the brownies ready and the house cleaned and play June Cleaver. That's not me. But I do enjoy being able to be there for my children when they need me to be there. And when I want to be there, it's my choice and not dictated by someone else. And my husband does work. In fact, he works in media also. And we have a very busy lifestyle. Our children are very active in their schools. Their schools are in totally different, opposite ends of town, totally opposite from where we live and from each other. But
That's like the Dallas way.
it is. That's our way. Yeah, you live in the suburbs, but you drive into the city to take your
Right.
kids to their private schools, and so it is.
What about you, Kim?
Well, I just recently lost my job. So previously, I was the one that was out and about, and my husband works at home. So that was a very different situation from what I was used to. My father was military, so we moved around a lot, but my dad was military. My mom also worked, but she was mostly at home with us. So it was very different to be out and in the workforce and then coming home. And my husband explaining to me that he does work, like you just said, he works at home. He's not a stay-at-home dad. He works from home.
Right.
So
I bet he makes that clearly.
very
Every
much
time
so.
you give him the side eye, he's like, look.
Exactly. So that was different for me, but it's taken some getting used to, but it works for our household now. So we have a 2-year-old. So she's currently in terrible twos, and I didn't think that she was going to go through that stage because my mother.
bless you.
I know, it's like you want to hug her.
No, because my mother was like, that should be, I guess that's something new because you and your brother didn't go through terrible twos. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe my daughter
Right.
won't go. No, she's.
You went through it. She's just chosen to forget now that she's a grandmother.
Selective,
Trust
a
me.
few years have gone by.
Right. And so, Mary, I know with you, you have a totally busy lifestyle too, being the working mom that you are.
I'm a working mom, and I leave home at,
God bless America, early in
I
the
leave
morning.
at like 4:30 in the morning. No.
No.
Yeah, well, earlier than that. But
She is at work
my
on
morning
time.
starts very early. And so my husband, and I think your husband plays a big role in the care of your child. My husband has taken care of our kids in the mornings all their life. I've always worked in morning radio, so that's been different. Different than I grew up. My mom was at home fixing breakfast and what have you, and so he sees them before. I don't know. For all I know, I don't know where they are right now. I just walk on
She
faith.
knows where her children
No, but I'm
are.
saying I haven't
We always have
seen
to
them
give
since
disclaimers for Mary on video. She knows where
I
her
haven't
children
seen
are.
them since 9 p.m. That's all I'm saying.
But I think it's interesting because having been married, I mean, I know what a fragile thing the male ego is. And I think with some of the reports coming out, especially like with women making more than men now and more men being laid off and being stay at home work dads, whatever title you want to put on it, you're at home. And sometimes you need the support of the woman and sometimes roles reverse. How do you deal with the male ego and supporting that, but still maybe being the breadwinner or being the person that's going out every day and working a job?
You have to not emasculate him. That is like such a major, major thing is do not emasculate
Let's
him.
make that a rule. Don't
Some of us
emasculate.
need to look it
you.
up. Some of us are Googling as we speak.
I just feel like sometimes I get caught up in the corporate way of doing things, and then you have to transition from that when you get home. And he sometimes has to sit me down and say, "You're not at work anymore. I'm not one of your coworkers. I'm your husband, and let's bring it down a couple of notches." So that is one of the main things. And definitely the communication, it has to stay constant. Like there's no way that we would be, our household would fall apart without the communication. So that's a major thing too.
I agree, especially as you start adding all the different layers to the family. When you start adding the kids' academics as well as extracurricular, and then you have church, and then you have what other community involvement there may be. Whether you're supporting him financially because you're making more, or you're supporting him financially because you control the budget, and I get to control the budget. You control the budget, and so you still have to make decisions for the household that basically taking everything that he's wanting and he's needing into account, and still realizing the goal. One thing that I've realized is that the bottom line is you just have to make them think they're right.
All the time.
Yeah.
And that's at work and at home. It gets tiring.
Right, yeah.
Watch
I
it,
mean,
watch
unfortunately, it is. I mean, and you get real good at that game, but there is a reality to that also. I mean, yes, I'm saying it in jest and just kind of joking around with it, but really, I mean, we're women and we're masters of knowing how to get what we want most of the time, and so you kind of go with that.
Yeah, and I think that a good point was made about not emasculating and not bringing home work. And I think that one of the big challenges when I was married is that I did have such a big job. And, you know, you tell people what to do, or you ask them nicely what to do and expect them to do it. But if you're managing a group of people, I mean, it is just one dynamic. And I used to go home and like, I don't want to make another decision.
Right.
I don't want to have to balance the checkbook, even though it was my responsibility because of the situation that we were in, and I just had more time to do it. But I think that it's hard because even though you're in a certain role, you may not always want to be in that role.
That's true.
And making, you know, your partner understand that, you know, I'm tired. I don't want to do it. And a lot of times that translates to the bedroom. So Mary, since we want to talk about supporting, right? This is when you throw the ball. Since you want to talk about supporting your man sexually all the time, how do you make time? Because I mean, I know your schedule, and so I know that it's. And I may not want to know as much as you're about to say, but
It's not much.
yeah, work that out.
Well, in my heart and in my
Spare us
mind,
all the time, right?
it's all the time because I'm thinking about him, thinking about things. But in reality, if you're listening, David, it doesn't always work out that way because I'm so tired. And it's like we work 3 shifts. The morning shift here at work, afternoon shift picking up the kids and all that stuff, and then the night shift with him. And it's like by the time I get to him,
It's like leftovers.
boy, that's really sad.
Okay, but and it is a problem for a lot of us. I mean, I think that is probably, next to money, that's probably one of the biggest arguments that couples have is, when to have sex, how often to have sex, and all that kind of stuff. So how do you work it out? Let's give some solutions. How do you work it out? What do you do? What tips do you have?
I don't have any tips. I want some advice.
You just need to give us your hope. We need your hope back.
Well, we have a toddler, and she is on her own sleep schedule. And with her being at home with my husband, he's not very adamant on go to sleep at this time, nap at this time, sleep
That's
at this
what my
time.
husband was.
So he basically, if she wants to get up at 10, she can get up at 10. If she wants to go to sleep at 2, she can go to sleep at 2.
And I know what you're doing. I fell into that same trap, and it never changes. My kids, people are so sad. They'll call our house like at 11, and they're like, "Is that your kids up?" And they're like,
My kids went into
Sorry.
shock
That-
the first time they spent the night at Mary's house.
That's never been the case at my house.
Yeah.
You go to
Okay.
bed when we tell you to go to bed, and you stay there. If you're laying there reading a book,
right.
the light better be off while you do it. Yeah, we it's kind of like everything else. You have to schedule what's really important.
Right.
And you have to make time for those things that are really important. And we find that making sure that we schedule our intimate time, as well as being open to the spontaneity, because you don't want to
like
be
if
so
it's scheduled on
regimented.
Thursday and Monday happens.
There have been a couple of times where I've been
it's
like, wait a minute,
Monday.
it's
not on
Friday
the
night.
schedule.
You know I'm tired on Friday nights. No. Wait a minute, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? You're way off schedule here. So yes, you do yield to spontaneity. You want to always keep it spicy, but you want to stay sane too, and you want to make sure that everyone's needs are met. So for us, it's called scheduling.
Yeah, and I will say, being now divorced and knowing how big of a deal it is, that, I mean, I think women really have got to be a lot more flexible. I think men need to be a little bit more understanding, because, I mean, it is a big deal. And it's, it's not like you want to feel like you're being forced to do it, but I think it's just one of those compromises that you have to make, like who goes to the grocery store.
Right.
Not everybody wants to do it, but you have to go.
Yeah. And when you do schedule time and like a couple of weeks out of the year, my kids go stay with my husband's sister, or whatever. It does make a big difference, because
We
you're
don't
not
even
just
call her house.
all of
We don't even call it a house.
and we get along so well. And I tell the kids, how people say, if you get a divorce and you say it's not the kid's fault, I said, no, it is your fault.
She doesn't do that.
No, really.
Somebody's going to be knocking on your door by the time we finish. So any final thoughts, really quick, before we go? Final thoughts?
Well, it's a 50-50, and sometimes it's a 90-10. Sometimes it's, a 30-70. Very rarely is it that 50-50. But I think the biggest part is everyone willing to give 100%. And when you're willing, maybe you don't always give it. But like Mary said, your heart is in it. Your heart is in the right place, and that is your intention. And then the understanding is there, I think, sometimes when you're not quite meeting those needs or meeting the demands.
And our word of the day?
Emasculate.
Speaking of keeping it spicy, we're going to talk about toning our thighs. We have our fitness experts standing by with how we can get those together or apart. I'm not sure which ones we're talking about anymore. Here's Randy.
Hey, what's going on, Mom's Going Wild? I'm going to show you some tips how to sculpt those thighs, get them toned, defined, and nice. And if you want the measuring tape to go be a little bit less on your thighs, here's the circuit to do it. You know me, it's Randy Fit Fury Diestress. All right, so this is what we got. Your toes always pointed towards you. Leg is relaxed, kicking up just like that. That's the first move. Toes pointed towards you. Next up, knee is into your chest, just like that. Next up, you got baby circles this way, baby circles that way. Next up, put your foot straight up. Actually plant that foot in the ground. The other foot goes straight up and push up from your hips all the way from your lower back, just like that. Kicking up. You're going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Once you finish both sides, finish with both legs up high and coming out and coming in. But if you're flexible, go lower, go wide. Get those thighs right. See you next time. Stay fit.
So,
Wow.
now that our right.
Ready for my close?
I didn't do anything and my thighs hurt. Thank you, Randy. You can definitely check out his website and get more fitness tips. Now we got a letter.
We've got letters. We need a theme, some music. We've got letters. Dear Mama's Gone Wild, I'm a working mom with 3 children, 7, 9, and 14. By the time we get home from school and had piano lessons and football practice, there's still dinner and homework left to do. It's always so hectic. I was wondering if you had a solution. Nikki, because I don't have. I wrote this letter.
Yeah. You know what? I think my biggest, and this, and people may say that, I'm kind of inflexible or, and not very moving when it comes to my children, but I really believe that children like boundaries. And I really believe that children like schedules. And I believe that they like to know what's going to happen.
Right.
So, and my kids have activities too, and they know when their activities are, and we have a very set schedule. When they don't have activities, they come home. They can change their clothes. They get a snack. We do homework. There's no question. We don't turn on a TV. We don't turn on a game. We don't feed the dog. They get a snack.
The dog,
No, the
what does
dog,
he have
the
to
dog is
suffer?
fine. They get home, they get a snack, they change their clothes, whatever, but then they do their homework and nothing else can happen until homework is done. And if they have an activity, like they have swimming right after school, they go to swimming, we eat, they do homework. It's that simple, and they know. I don't even have to tell them. If I say, let's play outside, they look at me like I'm crazy. So I just think that you need a routine. And for every family, obviously, it's different. I like to have a space for my children where they go and they do their homework, and that's what they do. It's away from the TV. It's away from, it's like jail. It's no, but that's what they do. And they get into the routine, and then they become responsible for doing it themselves. So that's
She's not lying. I've seen
no.
it.
And they'll do that at your house,
They
too,
will
if they
do it
come
in my house.
over.
They come to my house and they're looking for boundaries, and there are none.
So, but that's just it. I think kids like routines and they like boundaries. So thank you for the email. Not you. You can email us at mamasgonewild@gmail.com, mamasgonewild@gmail.com. And you can also look up other episodes that we have done on blackamericaweb.com. We appreciate you.
Stay wild.